folks, Dan Frio here with your closing bell for July 16th, 2025. So today's the perfect example of you don't judge a book by its cover. So what we're going to cover in today's episode right through here. The first news we got is inflation data shows early signs of tariff impact. They're showing prices increased by 2.7. And then the next piece is right through here. Trump asked GOP lawmakers if he should fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who's the Federal Reserve chief. So we're going to talk about these two and why you really don't always judge a book by its cover. And the reason why we're doing this today is because those things in the news are affecting these things over here. And the reason why you're here, you're either looking to buy or refinance, so you came to the right channel. So let's get over to what's happening in today's rates. You saw rates increase a little bit across the board right through here, but on the 30-year fix, it dropped just a tad. Really no market movements today. I'll show you the charts here in a second, but what we want to focus in on is right through here. The first piece is inflation data shows early signs of tariffs. New data shows inflation increased 2.7%. Well, I'm not saying it's not accurate, but what I'm saying is there was 6 pieces of inflation that came in over the last 2 days. 5 of the 6 either came in at what economists estimated they would come in at or lower. One of them came in a little bit higher. Guess which one it was? Right through there. So let's get over to that data I want to show you. So here's the economic calendar that we had over the last 2 days, and it gave us consumer inflation, that's the CPI, and it gave us producer inflation right through here, that's the PPI. Consumer inflation, let's go through it. Core CPI, last reading, or the estimates were 3, came in at 2.9, okay? Core CPI, estimate was 0.3, came in at 0.2. CPI year over year, 2.6, came in at 2.7. There's that one, the outlier. Well, let's keep going. The CPI month over month, 0.3, 0.3. Now I'm going off the expected, okay, not where they were. All right, and there's a reason for that. This is what it was expected. This is the only number that really shocked the markets. Now let's go down to the producer inflation. You go through here, that number is 0.4, was supposed to be at 0.2, 0. Zero producer inflation. That's month over month, and then on the core, and then we had the PPI month over month, still was 0.3, came down to 0.2, now is at 0. So if the tariffs are hitting the markets now, well, it's not showing it in this data. So, but there was a little bit of a blip in the radar when it comes to revisions, and that showed up right through here. So the revisions over here on the core PPI, this was 0.1. It was revised all the way to 0.4. So 30 basis point jump. But did this reading, it was 0. So what's the revision going to come in at? Well, that's what we're going to focus in on here shortly. But let's get over to this piece of the puzzle. Trump asked GOP lawmakers if he should fire Federal Chairman Powell. But if you really go into the news, that probably created a lot of clicks. But if you actually just go into the news, I think it's probably going to be in the headlines down through here. Probably Trump denies that he plans to fire Powell. Powell, highly unlikely. He has to basically prove without a reasonable doubt that he committed fraud or something like that. And I don't think that's going to be the point. So that's what we wanted to focus in on today, and it had a big impact on the markets. I want to show you what the bond market did here in a second, but the equity markets, I'll just say it's a Cinderella story today, folks. Across the board, the indices are in the green. You got the VIX down at 17. We're in the teens. Fantastic there. Go to crypto. Crypto's just on the peak of $120,000 a coin. And then oil is up 17 cents. That's the only thing that didn't cause today to be a completely Cinderella story that we have there. So that's what we're seeing in the markets. Right now, if we go over to the bond market, we have the MBS is up 17 ticks. So that's why rates inched down just a little bit today. But I do want to just show you some headlines. This is actually from the White House. This was breaking news at the time. I want to show you what was happening behind the scenes. And this was all denied or debunked immediately after this, but a lot of the media sources just pushed this out just for media attention. So let me show you what happens behind the scenes right now, but this has all been denied at this time.
And at the White House taking questions after a report crossed that's saying that Trump will likely fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, quote unquote, soon, according to a White House official. The president now saying that is highly unlikely. When we get over to our Megan Casella live in D.C. with much more on this story. Megan.
Hey, Frank, a very fast-moving story here. But first, I did confirm with a senior White House official just in the last hour that the president was indicating he was likely to fire Jerome Powell soon. The backstory there was he had been meeting in the Oval Office with a dozen Republican lawmakers late yesterday. He asked them, he floated the idea about firing Powell. He said now nearly all of them approved it. And the senior White House official said the president then said he was indicating he was likely to do it soon. Now, there was always a caution around that nothing was finalized. The decision could always change. It might not happen, and it might not necessarily be imminent. But then just there, Frank, we were listening to the president sort of downplay this reporting. He was saying that, yes, he's very concerned about Powell and he thinks that he's too late on interest rates. But he said, quote, no, we're not planning on doing anything with regards to firing him. He was then asked whether he was completely ruling out the idea of firing the Fed chair. And the president replied, quote, I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely unless he has to leave for fraud. He went on to say he thinks it's possible there's fraud involved in that ongoing renovation of the Federal Reserve building downtown. So here
I'll leave it at that. I think this is just a bunch of gossip or just smoke. It's just media attention, I guess, at this point. So we really want to focus in on this is the truth here. So here's what's going on in the bond market right now, folks. You got the MBS is up 16 ticks. The market should be closed. Yes, it is closed. So we got the market closed for the day. It's up 16 ticks. Mortgage rates ease just a little bit on the economic calendar for tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is Thursday, so we're going to start getting some job reports numbers. So why we focus in on all this stuff is because we really want to focus in on jobs and inflation, because that's what the Federal Reserve monitors. And if this data continues to come in better than expected, they're going to be basically forced to cut rates. That'll bring down the front end, and then that should start bringing all the rest of the rates down accordingly from there. So tomorrow we're going to get continued jobless claims and initial jobless claims. What this is going to tell us is, are people getting dumped right now on their jobs and finding it hard to get another job? Or is it kind of reverse the other way? Is it, people not really getting fired and there's not a lot of people, needing jobs at this time? So we're going to see a little bit tomorrow how the jobs report numbers look, and based on that will have some major changes to this. Possibly, if the number comes in dramatically higher, that's going to force the Federal Reserve to cut. If the employment numbers really start to come down, it's going to put them in a situation where they're going to sit here and scratch their heads saying, okay, well, we still don't know what's going to go on with the tariffs. And I think in the headlines today, I think it said Trump still has to send out like 150 letters or something like that. Let's see if it was in the headlines that I was watching. No, I can't find it there. But there was a caption there that he still has about 100 letters to send out, and we still have until August 1st. We thought it was July 9th, but August 1st until we figure out what's going on with all these tariffs. And then we'll have a final solution on what can potentially go on with inflation and thus accordingly what's going to go on with rates from there. So that's it for today, folks. But mortgage rates, they were basically just steady today. The news was kind of bland. I'll say it wasn't real informative because it really showed no producer inflation, but still people in the background are still saying, well, tariffs are going to be inflationary. And I agree with that, but how much? That's still the dilemma. We don't know. So that's it for today's video, folks. My name is Dan Frio. We have a slogan here. It's one application, one credit pool. We're going to shop your loan over 30 different lenders. Now, how do we do that? Well, folks, I work at a federal bank. That's how I have a federal license. So yes, I am federally licensed mortgage loan officer Dan Frio. So the unique thing here about at the bank, and one of the reasons why I'm here is we're set up with 33 other lenders. Okay, you might ask why. Well, the reason why is we want to make sure you're getting the best offers when it comes to your mortgage rates and mortgage fees. So what do you always do? You're out shopping for a mortgage and you've always been told you need 3, 4, 5 quotes maybe. Well, it's tedious. They're going to pull your credit. You got to upload all this information. Could the information be stolen? Do you know who you're working with? What if you can put in your application right through here? Okay, this is our system. I'll run your loan through our scenario at the bank, but I also have 33 other banks. I can offer you their programs, their rates, their everything's, even like this, a $7,000 down payment assistance program that one of them has that I can get you into. This will give you up to $7,000 to use for down payment assistance if your income is in a certain range. So check out the video. It'll also give you a map that you can check and see if you qualify. If you're looking to refinance at any point, check out the refinance rate through here. This is what you're going to do. You're going to click this and tell me what rate you want to refinance. And when that rate hits exactly that rate, I'm going to reach out to you. We're going to kick around the numbers. And if it makes sense, we're going to get you locked in and get your mortgage going forward. But let's say you're out there right now and you got some quotes. I'm going to ask you this. You want to get the final quote? Well, go to the loan estimate tab we have right through here. Upload the best loan estimate you have and let me run it through our comparables of up to 33 different lenders. See if I can get you a lower rate, maybe lower fees, maybe all the above. A lot of people are experiencing that and they're giving us a thumbs up. So thanks for watching today. God bless, folks. I can't wait to see you tomorrow morning to see how this mess ends or starts yet another day. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless. Be safe out there, folks. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.